Presti deserves credit for drafting very well and putting together the nucleus of a team which I said at the time has a chance to be one of the great all-time dynasties in any sport. Are you kidding me? All around the same age. Kevin Durant.
MVP.
Russell Westbrook.
MVP.
James Harden.
MVP.
And Serge Ibaka, by the way, who's one of the original stretch fours. He guarded the rim. He played man defense. And he could shoot from the outside.
He developed that later, to be fair.
Yeah, no, he developed it as they were going, right? Early on, he was more of just like a defensive monster. But the point is, he became like a bubble all-star player. The other three became MVP caliber players. Now, that's great for Presti and OKC. We're constantly told about a luxury tax and a salary cap. And what are we told about that? The salary cap? We're told max contract, luxury salary cap. Those are all financial restraints on owners meant to keep small markets competitive. That's what we're told. When, in fact, what happened with Clay Bennett, who stole the team from Seattle
right.
and brought public enemy number one in Seattle and brought him to OKC, what actually wound up happening? Did he take that revenue-sharing money and pay steep luxury taxes in order to keep a dynasty together? No. When push came to shove, that money went into Clay Bennett's pockets.
Yep.
He lined his pockets with the money from the players, meant to give small markets a chance to be great. OKC is the test case. They had a chance to be special. They got cheap and blew it with James Harden over. Stephen A. talks about it all the time. $4 million. Wow. I blame them for letting it go, not credit them for putting it together.
I can't criticize them at all. When you look back to the time that James Harden was moved, because we can all agree that was a pivotal point in Oklahoma's history. In the league at that time, you won with defense and rebounding. And the mindset was three-point shots were soft. You live by the three, you die by the three. But if you had enough size up front and you could rebound the basketball, it could work. It was also under the notion that you could win with a two-star team. Oklahoma City doubled down on Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant. They said there weren't enough shots for James Harden to be in the mix as he grew. They said, what are we going to do? We're going to go big. We're committing to Ibaka. We're going to make the trade for Jeff Green and go get
And coincidentally, they got cheaper. They got cheaper.
But my point is, at the time, you couldn't have seen that the NBA would trend towards three-point shooting.
I'll let you finish, but obviously they were wrong. So even if we put the money thing aside, which it seems very obvious that there was a luxury tax decision, that's why they pay you. They pay you so that you can foresee these things. A criticism, you can say that you were still winning with two stars. That's not true. The Miami Heat Big Three had already been constructed. The Big Three in Boston had already been constructed. The league had already changed.
Can you really call Miami a Big Three? I know.
Yes.
Look.
What?
Bosh is a baller coming in. Bosh is a baller coming in. I'm looking at LeBron.
Max.
I'm looking at Wade.
Wait, you're saying they're not part of the Big Three? It's a big one with Bosh? Are you saying it's a big one with Bosh?
I'm not all the way. Coming in.
Chris Bosh is the most underrated. That's unbelievable.
So I love what Bosh did. I'm talking about two guys who win.
So one, you're paid to be able to see these things, and obviously the Big Three era had already stared because it happened in Boston.
By the way, you're paid to be able to see these things too. You better take that back.
and obviously LeBron James and Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade were obviously a Big Three, and that Big Three has said since those matchups with OKC, they said that they were more focused on shutting down Harden than they were on shutting down Westbrook. And to me, that points to one other mistake that Sam Presti made. And I've been very complimentary of Presti as a general manager, but he made, even if you were going to let the luxury tax force you to get rid of a player, the player that he got rid of seems to be the wrong player. Do you think that team going forward with Harden and Durant would have been different than Westbrook and Durant? So you can point to a lot of different issues. They were cheap. That's a mistake. They made the wrong decision, and they were unable to foresee the direction the NBA were going in. They went the opposite direction. You're saying they went with big athleticism away from the three-point shooting when they had one of the only guys in the league.
Here's what it is in the NBA. Look. If you're a small market or a market that no one wants to play in, like you're never going to attract a top-flight free agent in Oklahoma City unless the guy's from there, like LeBron was from Cleveland. I'm sorry, Oklahoma City. You're not LA, it's just the way it is, okay? So since that's the case, you have precisely 7 years from the time you draft a player to get something done. 7 years, because they're going to sign their rookie extension if they're great. Of course, no one's leaving that money on the table. Then heading into year 6, if it's not a championship team, they're going to say, you might as well trade me now. And after year 7, they're trading away. James Harden was there for, what, 3-4 years? He was barely there. They had all this time with probably the best young nucleus to ever come into maybe any sport all at the same time. They got to one final, chips.
This is a mistake you both are making. And you've been paid to be a little more of a punching bag today. When you're looking at James Harden at that time, nobody knew what he was. Nobody could have told you that James Harden was going to become what he was. When you look at
you know who could have told you? You know who could have told you? Daryl Morey.
Daryl Morey.
And Daryl Morey saw a lot of stuff, but nobody else did. Only Daryl Morey.
I couldn't tell you that Harden was going to be MVP. That's true. But it's not my job. That's his job.
If we're talking about drafting and developing, Oklahoma City and the San Antonio Spurs are arguably the best.
Right.
You're talking about a small market of going, and now they put themselves in a position while we're being very critical to look for the future.
Great.
Guys, let me just be very clear.
Come on.
Sam Presti is
phenomenal.
Excellent. The issue here and the reason they blew it and they deserve blame is the owner, Clay Bennett, who is cheap and would rather line his own pockets than give the fans of Oklahoma City a chance at a dynasty.
Durant and Westbrook were already fighting over shots. You're going to keep another guy who needs shots? They got rebounders. That's the way you won in 2012.
It was over $4 million. According to Stephen A. Smith, it was over $4 million.
That's the way
they would have kept them over $4 million.
Max, he said that Miami wasn't a big three. I can't think straight.
I love Bosh. He's a Hall of Famer, but I don't put him on the same.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports, highlights, and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.